Shaping Britain's conversation. The Nigel Farage Show.
Mr. Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Donald, and good evening, everybody. Another day of intrigue and high drama in Westminster as MPs get ready for a series of votes tomorrow which may shape the future course of Brexit. In fact, they may even shape whether we do leave on the 29th of March at 11 p.m. or not. We've had the ERG group meeting and Mrs May has met all of her Conservative MPs. I'm going to go straight down to the corridors of Westminster and speak to LBC's political editor, Theo Usherwood. Theo, good evening.
Good evening, Nigel.
So how did the Prime Minister's meeting with Tory MPs go?
Mixed. It's quite a confusing message until a few moments ago when one senior MP came out to explain to us that the Prime Minister had in fact ordered MPs that she will be whipping tomorrow night's vote on the amendment tabled by Sir Graham Brady. Now, it's worth remembering that just before this meeting started, Jacob Rees-Mogg, the chairman of the the chairman of the European Research Group, I should say, said that he would not be backing the Brady amendment, which in effect gives the power to the Prime Minister to go back and find alternative arrangements. From Eurosceptic point of view, it is too vague, Nigel. It is not specific enough when it comes to reopening the withdrawal agreement, when it comes to putting a sunset clause on the hated, infamous backstop. And that's the way it's viewed by those within the Eurosceptic.
And is it true, Theo? Is it true that Jacob Rees-Mogg walked out of that meeting with the Prime Minister?
He left the meeting early, Nigel. It's a little bit unclear as to whether he was walked out in fury, but he certainly left the meeting after only about 15 minutes, because it's a direct challenge from the Prime Minister to his authority within the European Research Group, saying that she's going to order MPs to vote for it. And tomorrow night there's going to be a choice from his members about whether they really do see the threat of the Yvette Cooper amendment to extend Article 50, will it in fact extend Article 50, and therefore feel the pressure to go and vote for Graham Brady. Because without the Brady amendment, Theresa May cannot return to Brussels and ask for anything. It's been likened to this motion tomorrow, a Christmas tree. The amendments are the baubles that define the Christmas tree. Without those baubles, there is nothing that the Prime Minister can ask of Brussels, and Brussels has been clear, hasn't it, when it says that they want the Prime Minister to come back with something specific.
Yes, they have. OK, so that's why she's backing this Brady amendment, which, as you say, seeks alternative arrangements to avoid a hard border. And as far as the Cooper amendment goes, and just to remind people, that says if a deal hasn't been agreed by the end of February, that the whole Article 50 process should be extended, the can kicked down the road for up to another 9 months. How are the numbers looking on that, or is it too early to say?
It's not looking great for the Yvette Cooper amendment. It's a technical little bit of detail, but the amendment gives power to MPs next Tuesday, that's the 5th of February, to table a private member's bill in government time. Completely unprecedented. I mean, it rips up the parliamentary years of parliamentary history and precedent. And then they would table a piece of legislation, Yvette Cooper, Nick Bowles, Nicky Morgan, that would, if there wasn't a deal in place by February the 26th, force Mrs May to extend Article 50 until the end of the year. Now, interestingly, John Trickett, very close to Jeremy Corbyn, has been out this afternoon effectively saying that this was very worried about the effect it would have Labour voters' trust in politicians, particularly in the north of England.
Yes.
Last week, Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell said, like the look of the Cooper Amendment, very positive noises from the Labour front bench. This week, a lot of reticence to support it. They've obviously been speaking to their constituents in Leave constituencies over the weekend, and they know that there's a huge amount of disquiet because Labour does not want to be portrayed as the party that stopped Brexit. It would be immensely damaging.
I can imagine those Labour MPs in the north of England
very worried.
Say, "Oh, we're just going to extend it by 9 months." I mean, the response would be furious. So, Theo, is it possible that, despite all the great build-up to tomorrow, that actually nothing changes at all tomorrow?
Absolutely. Without Jeremy Corbyn's support, Yvette Cooper's amendment just doesn't pass. It doesn't go anywhere. Brady's amendment, there's been a significant amount of pushback amongst members of the ERG throughout today. And that is, Nigel, a story in itself, because if Theresa May cannot go back to Brussels and say what she wants, then and MPs cannot force her to extend Article 50, a no-deal Brexit on March the 29th, you need to be buying shares in it. It becomes so much more likely.
And I'm going to be talking later on in this hour about Article 24 of the WTO agreement that could actually allow us to carry on trading tariff-free. Theo, thank you. We'll speak to you tomorrow. Don't go too far away. Well, that was Theo giving us all the gossip and the intrigue from the corridors of power, where basically nobody can agree with anybody. There isn't really a parliamentary majority for anything. But I'm just wondering ahead of this big vote tomorrow, now, how has the politicians' handling of Brexit left you feeling? Maybe you're feeling completely and utterly exasperated by the whole thing. Tell me on 0345 6060 973. Or maybe you think, and Lord Adonis made this point yesterday when he was on my Sunday show, that actually Parliament is doing a great job. It's doing the thing that it's there for. If that's how you feel, text to 84850. Or maybe like me, you're just disgusted by the whole thing, disgusted by the fact that 500 MPs voted for Article 50 and now many of them want to simply overturn it. I'm outraged by it. If that's how you feel, please tweet using the hashtag Farage and LBC at LBC, and of course Facebookers, you can comment too. In the meeting, Boris Johnson asked the Prime Minister, how do you know the Brady Amendment will be meaningful change? Theresa May told him, we won't know unless you support us. Oh, gosh, it's not very convincing, is it? Boris was waxing lyrical in the Telegraph this morning, saying that if the backstop went, if we reopened the withdrawal agreement, the whole country would come behind her. He's not sounding that convinced tonight. Clive is a first-time caller from the Atlantic coast, lives in Newquay. Clive, how do you feel our politicians are handling this whole thing?
Yeah, good evening, Nigel.
Good
Thanks
evening.
for taking the call. Great to speak to you. Yeah, I'm disgusted. Absolutely disgusted by the way the whole of the Parliament are acting, anti-democratic. I'm not scared of a clean break Brexit at all. I think the negotiations have been handled disgracefully. She haven't meant to leave, basically.
It was always Brexit in name only with her, really, wasn't it?
Brexit in name only, and she's. What I really want to say is and ask about is the Canada Plus deal. We were offered that, a free trade deal, with all the other things sorted out as well by the sounds of it, in March.
We were.
By Tusk.
Yep.
Why is nobody speaking about it? I mean, if ever another deal's mentioned, they mention Norway, but we've actually been offered a Canada Plus
March
deal.
the 7th.
Nobody's mentioned it.
You are absolutely right. On March the 7th last year, that's exactly what Donald Tusk offered the British government, and they didn't respond because Mrs May never wanted a clean break and a simple free trade deal. She wanted, and she made it clear in her Florence speech, for us to have a close continuing partnership. And I think, frankly, Clive, if I had to pin one thing on what's gone wrong with the Brexit process, it is this total lack of leadership, a failure of leadership, and into that vacuum have come all the Remainers and all of those who want to try and stop the Brexit process. Clive, can your faith and confidence in our British democratic system ever be restored?
Isn't she? When she says there's no other deal on the table, she's lying to us.
Well, there is very simply a WTO exit available to us, and I'm going to talk at 6:30 about how that could be made a whole lot smoother. Clive, thank you for your call. Nigel, I'm so fed up. I've started my own government position asking for the option of none of the above to be on the ballot paper. Well, do you know, a lot of you are saying this to me, that you'll never vote again or you'll spoil your papers. I'm hearing it from lots and lots of people. Nigel, I've followed the Brexit process diligently. It has been absorbing. However, where I am totally bamboozled, what a great word, is in the workings of Parliament. Meaningful votes, amendable votes, advisory votes, the role of the biased speaker, the opportunity for the Lords to filibuster. Paul in Lancaster. Paul, even experienced parliamentarians are baffled by what's going on because John Bercow has basically torn up the rule book, the precedent of centuries, and tomorrow Dominic Grieve will attempt to do something that's not been done since 1642 in terms of taking power from Parliament away from the executive and arguably away from the people. So we're living in times when it is difficult to follow. William is a first-time caller from Harefield in Middlesex. Good evening, William.
Hello, Nigel. Good evening.
Good evening.
I was just wondering, could I go off the subject? Actually, I agree with that previous caller. But what about VAT? Do we have to still pay VAT if we come out?
Well, value-added tax. Value-added tax, William, came in when we joined the European Economic Community. VAT is a European tax. Before that, we had a different form of sales tax. Leaving the European Union would give us the ability to scrap the VAT system and replace it with something else. And one of the reasons, of course, that we can't get rid of VAT on certain products is the EU sets certain minimums. So, yes, we would be able, William, to completely change indirect taxation outside the EU if we chose to. But let me get back to the question at hand. How do you think Parliament's behaving?
Well, useless. I can't wait for you and Jacob to form a new party.
Oh, wow. Is that the plan, is it, William?
That's the plan. I think Theresa May, I've got a sneaky feeling she's stalling all the time to get a no deal, Well, that's what I think.
Well, I tell you what, if the Prime Minister is foxing us all, including me, and she genuinely wants to head for a WTO Brexit, then I will propose that the fourth plinth in Trafalgar Square becomes Theresa May's statue. But I don't believe it for a moment, William. William, thank you. And some praise here for Theo Usherwood, who has spent a lot of time in the corridors and freezing on College Green over the course of the last few weeks. I get this from Ted in Cambridge. Listening to Usherwood's consistently excellent parliamentary commentary. There we have it. The Cooper Amendment is a load of baubles. I've been saying that about the entire Brexit negotiations thus far, onwards and outwards. And it's very interesting what he was saying, that so many of the Sunday newspapers said, the Yvette Cooper Amendment, of course it's going to pass. But suddenly, these Labour MPs have been back to their constituencies and they found a lot of their voters don't want Brexit extended, don't want the can kicked down the road. They want our politicians to get on and do their job and deliver Brexit. And I believe that's the clear majority view in this country. You're listening to The Nigel Farage Show here on LBC at 6:15 and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
Leading Brexiteer Jacob Rees-Mogg says MPs on his European research group won't support any Brexit amendments being voted on tomorrow, including Sir Graham Brady's option to replace the Irish border backstop with alternative arrangements. 9,000 jobs are at risk at Tesco's head office and stores as part of efforts to simplify the business. A 19-year-old man's been sentenced to 11 and a half years detention after killing 4 people in a crash in Sheffield. LBC weather, a chilly night ahead with scattered wintry showers in Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and northwest England, a low of -2.
LBC Travel, I'm J. Louise Knight, and the A13 is stop-start out of town from the Canning Town flyover to an earlier accident at the Beckton roundabout, which has been moved. It's very heavy out of town on the A2 after an earlier accident near Bean. The queues are back to the Danson interchange, and there's been a serious accident closing the A3, that's Kennington Park Road, both ways near Oval Station. There are solid queues around the Oval and back towards Elephant and Castle. Expect delays in the centre of town because of the taxi protest. Tottenham Court Road is closed, and Blackfriars Road is closed from Southwark Street to St George's Circus for a demo by minicab drivers. And on the train, South Eastern have delays to and from Charing Cross.
LBC.
Word in the woods is that 3 little pigs are looking to sell their homes quick. They seem to be in a spot of bother with the big bad wolf called Rick.
Come out, little piggies!
So they spoke to the friendly team at Property Rescue, who can offer a guaranteed sale in as little as 48 hours at a fair price and a cash advance if you need one. Fast forward to living happily ever after. Visit propertyrescue.co.uk. Property Rescue. Fast forward to sold.
Do you dream of owning your own business, but worry about the risks involved? With a franchise, you can be your own boss with the support of an established brand. Visit the British and International Franchise Exhibition on the 1st and 2nd of February at Olympia, London. Meet a wide range of franchise businesses, benefit from expert advice, and find out how to build a better future. Book free tickets today at franchisetickets.co.uk. That's franchisetickets.co.uk.
First world problem number 346.
Well, people might think I'm exaggerating, but since Virgin Atlantic announced their sale, I can't sleep. One minute my head is in New York, the next I'm searching for shows in Vegas. I can't stop. So many choices. South Africa, the Caribbean, California. My search history is a total mess. Oh, I might need to bring it up with my life coach.
Seriously? Get a flight. Bing bong. The Virgin Atlantic sale is now on. Visit virginatlantic.com and fly direct from London.
All right, Debs, tell me about your amazing £1 million idea then.
So, imagine a website that goes through gazillions of houses employing ninja-like techniques to find you your perfect home.
You mean Zoopla?
Zoopla?
Yeah. As well as having gazillions of houses, it lets you create your search area, shows you running costs and property values, that kind of stuff.
All right, well, just let me know if you want to invest in Debs' incredible home-finding service.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Zoopla.
With over 1 million properties and the tools to find your perfect home, start your search with Zoopla.
When you buy the award-winning Alfa Romeo Giulia or the Stelvio Performance SUV, you can pretend it's for the 5-year warranty, the 3 years free servicing, 5 years roadside assistance, or the 5 years 0% APR. But the real reason is, you just want an Alfa Romeo. Start something beautiful. Visit alfaromeo.co.uk.
5 years or 75,000 miles warranty. Minimum 35% customer deposit. 60 months term. HB sales until the 31st of March 2019. Subject to status. T's and C's apply. Alfa Romeo Financial Services.
This is a weather forecast from the Mayor of London's office. Not for today, but tonight. Temperatures will plummet to nearly zero. Ground frost and freezing rain likely. Nobody should sleep in that. I did, and the cold freezes you to the core. If you've seen someone sleeping rough, StreetLink can bring them in from the cold. Search Help London's Homeless.
Because whatever the weather, homeless people deserve better.
The Nigel Farage Show on LBC.
Breaking news. Sky sources say Prime Minister Theresa May has told Conservative MPs that the next meaningful vote on her Brexit deal will be held on the 13th of February. OK, so she's not giving herself very long, is she, to go back to Brussels and renegotiate anything. 13th of February, the next meaningful vote, after, of course, previously she'd lost it by a margin of 230 votes. Is there any room for manoeuvre on this Irish backstop, or this trap, which is effectively what it was, and she should never have signed up to it in the first place? Sammy Wilson, a DUP Brexit spokesman, today said we need to exploit the cracks emerging in the illogical position of the EU and the Irish. And they are contradicting each other over this business of a hard border. But the person, I would put it to you, that really matters in all of this is Michel Barnier. Speaking through an interpreter, this is what he said about the Irish border last week.
If we're facing a no deal, we will, together with Ireland, who is directly concerned territorially speaking, and with the UK, we'll have to find a way to carry out checks. If there's no hard border, well, we will still have to do checks and controls somewhere. It's something that we owe to consumers, to protect consumers and to protect companies within the single market. So we'll have to find an operational way of carrying out checks and controls without putting back in place a border.
Exactly. We've been saying this for a couple of years. If you need to check because of differentials of standards, and by the way, on the day we leave, the standards will all be exactly the same. This is something for the future. But you do not have to do this physically at borders. It can be done away. And Barnier is saying, even with no deal, there will be no hard border. And that, I think, is really important. Because if he's saying that, why the hell do we need the backstop to be there at all? So there is some potential, it seems to me, for Theresa May on this issue. And by the way, those that say, Graham Brady and others that say, provided we get rid of the backstop, the withdrawal agreement's fantastic. I don't think it is. I think the whole thing's lousy, but this just happened to be the worst part of it. So how are you feeling that the politicians are handling Brexit? What are your emotions about this? Rebecca is very plain on Twitter. She says, disgusted, disappointed, disillusioned, angry, betrayed. Yeah, I kind of get that. Nigel, let's sack all the MPs and let the royals run the country. I don't think that we're back to 1642 again, aren't we? Because that was the original fight between Parliament and the King. I'm going to go to Great Yarmouth to speak to Angie, a first-time caller. Good evening, Angie.
Good evening, Nigel.
So you come from a big Leave town?
I do.
And your MP is the Tory party chairman?
Yes.
Who is now a Leaver, he says?
Many times we've emailed him. We wrote to him.
Yeah.
There's loads of letters gone through our local papers, and he just will not listen.
Well, he does back Theresa May's deal, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Which he
is a very, very bad deal.
Which he would say to you, Angie. He would say to you, I was a Remainer, but I'm respecting you, Angie, and people in Great Yarmouth, which is now why I'm backing Mrs May's deal.
No, he's not. He's not respecting the people in Great Yarmouth.
No? Why not?
No. He's just not. He's not respecting that we want out. Out is out.
So you're a hard-liner, Angie, are you?
I am, yeah.
I mean, would you be happy to leave on WTO terms?
Yeah.
Doesn't that make you...
People in Brussels and wherever it is they are, they do not listen. You cannot do a deal with somebody that doesn't want a deal.
But, Angie, all these big businesses are telling you that if you leave on WTO terms, you might be worse off, Angie.
I don't think so.
You don't believe them?
No.
You've had enough of experts?
Yes. Definitely want out. WTO all the way.
OK, well, let's go WTO. Angie, frank, to the point, thank you. A lot of people are feeling like Angie, and this is what we're seeing, isn't it? We saw this on Question Time a couple of weeks ago with an audience in Derby. We saw this with the Sky News debate in Leeds. A lot of people now feel like Angie. Just get on with it. We don't believe the fear-mongering. Joanne is a first-time caller from Ipswich. Good evening, Joanne.
Good evening, Nigel.
Welcome. So, how are you feeling about our government and our politicians?
Quite outraged. Firstly, Nigel, I'd like to say I love you, Nigel. Thank you for representing us.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Thank you.
There's a voice.
Thank you. Well, I've been battling away on this issue, Joanne, for a very, very long time. And I would like to think that after March the 29th, the job would be done. But I do begin to fear there's a lot more work to do.
Well, to be quite honest, I think tomorrow is going to be a bit of a forecast, a bit like the weather. It's going to be extremely chilly, and I don't think anything's going to happen.
Yeah, do you know, I'm beginning to get that feeling that all this drama, all this build-up, and then nothing changes tomorrow at all. Mrs May goes back to Brussels, but Juncker is going to respond on Wednesday afternoon in the European Parliament, and I'll be there sitting next to him. But she's going to go back without very much to negotiate with, isn't she?
Absolutely, and from a business person that deals predominantly in Kent, Essex and Suffolk, I'm really, really fed up of being dictated to and being told that businesses say no deal is the wrong path.
Oh, that's big businesses. That's the giant multinationals.
Exactly.
That's the CBIs.
I started my business before a recession, saw the business through a recession and are thriving. And to be quite honest with you, it's absolutely preposterous the fear-mongering that is going on at the moment.
95%, Joanna, 95% of UK businesses don't trade with Europe, and it's about time people got that into their brains. Joanne, thank you very much. And by the way, somebody out there, come on, Lord Adonis, you can ring in if you want to. 0345 6060 973. Someone tell me they think Parliament's doing a great job, because I'm struggling to find it. I'm outraged, flabbergasted and astonished how despicably the government is behaving. That's the government, not just MPs. Somebody out there tell me they're doing a good job. Somebody please tell me that Parliament is looking really rosy and bright. There must be someone out there. Maybe it's Andrew, a first-time caller from Horncastle in Lincolnshire. Good evening, Andrew.
Hi, Nigel.
Hi there. So, what's going on, Andrew? What do you think about our leaders?
Absolutely despicable. A complete betrayal of democracy altogether.
Yes. Well, it's not quite completed yet, Andrew, but you've got people like John Major saying just revoke, just cancel Article 50. You've got
I know.
You've got Blair, of course, pushing for a second referendum. You've got many in Parliament who now would like to see Brexit delayed, the can kicked down the road. It is pretty horrible, isn't it?
Well, it is. The thing is, when David Cameron announced the whole thing, he said there would be no interference from government, no interference from politicians. It would be the people's vote. It would be binding.
Yep.
Now, they're all having these big debates on what's going to happen and all this stirring and everything, and all the, things about, we're all going to die because of Brexit.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So then you get the politicians involved, and it all goes wrong.
Well, isn't the truth of it, Andrew, that our leader, our Prime Minister, never really believed in all this?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's what I think.
But then it just shows that politicians like that exist everywhere. Like, for instance, I'll name one of them, Anna Soubry.
Well,
The member for...
but at least...
Boxer, is it?
Yeah, but Broxo. Yeah, I mean, Anna Soubry's position on this has perhaps been quite clear, but there's a lot of MPs out there, Andrew, that have straightforwardly lied to people, and that is disgusting. Thank you for your call. Interesting one here from Lawrence in Castleford. I live in Yvette Cooper's constituency of Castleford, West Yorkshire, and I think I speak for the overwhelmingly majority of the people who are disgusted at the betrayal of a Labour MP who thinks she can do whatever she wants because she's in a safe seat. If Brexit is delayed or stopped, the backlash in our working class communities will destroy the Labour Party for years to come. Lawrence, I'm with you. And by the way, I've got a copy here of Yvette Cooper's election address that she sent out to her constituents in 2017. And she said, I voted to trigger Article 50 in Parliament. I want to reform freedom of movement and I will not vote to block Brexit. That's what Yvette Cooper told you, Lawrence. And I think you're right. I think we keep talking about the problems the Conservative Party has got, but I promise you the Labour Party potentially have got huge problems as well. Jennifer on Facebook says, this government has not handled Brexit at all. The Conservatives have made Britain a laughingstock all over the world. They have. It's a point I've made again and again and again. Won't make any difference if she goes back to the EU with Brady's amendment. Well, Jan, you did hear what Barnier said. You know, maybe she can get something on the backstop, or maybe they've got us where they want us. They've got us in real trouble. Because you know what the European Union really wants? It wants us to have a second referendum, as happened in Denmark, as happened in Ireland. They don't like the result, and they think if we're forced to vote again, we'll vote the other way, and we'll vote to stay. They don't really understand this country, do they? You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show, here on LBC at 6:30 in time for the news, with Lisa Aziz.
Leading Brexiteer Jacob Rees-Mogg says MPs on his European Research Group won't support any amendments being voted on in the Commons tomorrow. They include Sir Graham Brady's option to replace the controversial Irish border backstop with alternative arrangements. But tonight the Prime Minister has told Conservative MPs there will be a whip to support that amendment. There are warnings there could be major problems with food supplies into the UK if there's a no-deal scenario. Retailers like M&S, Sainsbury's and KFC have written to the government saying a third of what we eat comes from the EU and that it's impossible to stockpile fresh food. An underwater search is going to take place for the plane carrying Cardiff City striker Emiliano Sala and his pilot after it went missing over the English Channel. It's being carried out by a private team a week after the light aircraft disappeared. LBC weather, a chilly night ahead with scattered wintry showers in Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and also northwest England. Clearer though elsewhere, a low of -2.
It's my huge honour to present such an important award tonight.
LBC and its sister stations from Global come together to bring you...
Thank you very much. You make us all proud.
The Global Awards 2019.
With very.co.uk.
See huge performances on the night from Little Mix and Lang Lang. But who will win this time? Voting is now open and tickets go on sale Thursday at 8 a.m. Download the Global Player app or go online to lbc.co.uk. Thursday, March the 7th, London's Hammersmith event in Apollo, the Global Awards 2019.
With very.co.uk. Get more out of every day.
LBC.
I'm CEO. I also make tea. I'm delivery man. I'm head of IT. When it comes to my business, I ain't half bad. I even sing jingles on my radio ads.
You need a van that, like you, does it all. The jack of all trades. A new Citroën Berlingo van with up to 1-ton payload, 3-seat extenso cab and active safety brake. Test drive the International Van of the Year 2019 at your local Citroën dealer now. Find out more at citroen.co.uk.
Citroën. Divorce. It threatens the things you've worked hard for in more ways than you can imagine. Your home, savings, pension, and most of all, your relationship with your children. Don't let divorce cost you any more than it has to. Cordell & Cordell is dedicated to helping men in matters relating to divorce. Call now on 0330 60 60 161 or visit cordellcordell.co.uk. Office in central London. A partner men can count on.
What if you could sail into a world where anything's possible? With Celebrity Cruises, you can. Book your Celebrity Cruise now and enjoy complimentary drinks, plus savings of up to £700 on selected 2019 sailings. The world is open, the sail is on. Visit celebritycruises.co.uk today or contact your travel agent. Up to an adult protected.
46 years ago, Swale Heating was born. We've installed thousands of boilers, and now the process is even easier. There's no need for a household survey. Just go to swaleheating.com. Answer a few questions, we'll recommend the best boiler, then install it at a time to suit you. Rely on us to keep you warm.
For hundreds of years, Indian food has been about sharing great food with the people you love. For over 5 years, Manjal Restaurant have brought North and South India together in the heart of London. And due to its success, now we've come to Chigwell Loughton. Experience the essence of India and make memories with Manjal. Book now at manjalrestaurant.com.
To find the truth, you wouldn't listen to just one voice. You wouldn't believe just one story, or trust just one opinion. And neither would we. The Week magazine reviews all the issues of our day and where everyone stands on them. Sign up online and try 6 issues for free. Search The Week magazine today. After all, you shouldn't make up your mind on just one issue. Cancel anytime during the free period or continue with 13 issues for just £40.49.
The Vodafone Big Winter Sale is still on. Don't miss out on amazing smartphone, SIM-only, home broadband and tablet offers. Hurry, the Vodafone Big Winter Sale ends 4th of February. Go online or in-store today. The future is exciting. Ready? Vodafone. Minimum term agreement, credit check and RPI increase apply. See vodafone.co.uk/terms.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC, The Nigel Farage Show.
Well, I'm asking you how you feel about our political class and the way they've handled Brexit, and so far you all seem to be disgusted. Surely someone out there thinks Parliament's doing a good job. Please call me. Tell me how and why on 0345 6060 973. And I get through from Simon by text. Nigel, I'm a Time Lord. And I've just returned to tell you that we crashed out without a deal and everything worked out just fine. Well, Simon, I like that. That's great. Well, talking of crashing out, of economic catastrophe and the other words and phrases that we hear, not just, indeed, from big businesses, but from almost every single BBC commentator as well. I've got someone here with me who's going to explain to us that actually we don't have to crash out at all. I'm joined by David Campbell-Bannerman, MEP for the East of England. And David, you've been one of the people putting forward this idea of invoking Article 24. Hey, folks, we've got Article 50, that's the European Union Treaty, but this is different, David, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. This, Nigel, is actually the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. I know it all gets very technical. That's GATT. And that is now part of the World Trade Organization, the global rules network that the EU operates within. What is important about this is that you can have a managed no deal, a kind of softer no deal, because it allows us to leave the EU with no withdrawal agreement, all the arguments about that, but keep tariffs at zero, keep quotas at zero, which means that the man in the street, a woman in the street will not notice. You know, you won't get 40% tariffs on French cheese or 12% on French wine for a period whilst you negotiate a much deeper, comprehensive, ambitious free trade agreement. I call that Super Canada. That's yet another, I know, technical area, but that's a much bigger deal. But this is a kind of transition, a stopgap mechanism. And I had the opportunity this morning actually to give the Prime Minister a one-page sheet in number 10, which is from a leading University of Cambridge professor, Lauren Bartels, of law, who says this one page can trigger that process.
Was Theresa May aware of this before you went in this morning to talk to her?
Obviously, I can't reveal confidence about what was discussed, but the government is aware of Article 24, but it's quite a recent thing. It's only the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I've been pushing it, and it's not just a UK thing. The EU is very interested in this. I've spoken like the chairman of the International Trade Committee of the European Parliament. I'm sure you'll be aware of him, a German socialist. And he believes it's workable, Article 24. And of course, the EU has these, would get hit by much bigger tariffs than us, 13 billion, UK 5 billion.
So it would need both of us, both us and the European Union, to go to Geneva and to say we're both invoking Article 24, we would carry on doing business tariff-free. There'd be no even arguments over the border in Ireland, because things would just carry on as they are. But we would have left the European Union.
I think what's really valuable about it is for business, yes, they have to fill in customs declarations, but it's only 7% of businesses actually trade with the EU. There's 400,000 UK businesses. That's a bit of a hassle for them, but they don't have to calculate 20,000 tariffs. And that's what the EU's customs union is made up of, most favoured nation. It's called MFN. They don't have to do that because you have zero tariffs and zero quotas. So there's none of that fiddly stuff because, if you look at lamb or beef, there's often, 15, 20 tariffs just on one animal.
I'm very struck, David, that this, as you say, it's not been around for very long. Just the last 2 or 3 weeks that we've been talking about this, and I know that my colleague Nick Ferrari on The Breakfast Show has been talking about it as well. It seems to me that if we're going to leave on WTO terms, this completely destroys the argument that we're crashing out. Because, in fact, it would be very managed in terms of trade and very smooth. Why, oh why, oh why? And I'm looking at the list of amendments that have been put down for Mr Burko to choose tomorrow in the debate. Why, oh why, have no Leave MPs put down an Article 24 amendment for debate tomorrow, or vote tomorrow?
It's a good question, Nigel. I'm not sure the answer. I mean, it's quite new, this, and it's gaining currency. I was talking to a former Chancellor just earlier today. People haven't been aware of it. And I have to say that I was sort of, suspicious of it, but I've looked into it, spoken to top ambassadors at the World Trade Organization, and it is credible and doable. And I'm putting it forward. I'm pushing it forward through the Telegraph and other areas. But I think
is Jacob supporting this?
Yes, but it's a sort of more of a fallback position. I think at the moment the government's looking at tweaking its deal. I think that the focus is on can you actually change that deal in a way? And I did a piece today for the Telegraph on what I would want. There's about 7 areas, and they're pretty fundamental. But if the EU really doesn't want to play ball, then let's just look at a manage no deal scenario using this Article 24. And I think it is a very credible way forward.
Well, I have to say it's a very good injection into this debate, and I know you put a lot of time into it, and I hope Theresa May's listening, because I think this could, in many ways, I really do think in many ways this could deal with that fear factor that's being put out there. And just lastly, quickly, on trade, big consortium today of food retailers telling us that a no-deal Brexit will lead to shortages in the shops and much higher food prices. Do you see that?
No, not at all. I mean, if you speak to any supermarket, they source from all over the world. When this is what happens, where there's no British tomatoes, it's out of season, they go around the world to source those tomatoes. They do it with fruit and vegetables. I don't see any problem. I think this is, again, Project Fear, I'm afraid. They're put up to it, a lot of these people, like Airbus.
A lot of people believe that.
It's like we're back in the referendum,
But
Nigel.
this would solve it. This would solve that problem.
It would solve it.
We would not have tariffs on foodstuffs coming in from Europe.
You wouldn't.
And we could,
You wouldn't have the complication of thousands of tariffs. You would have to fill in a bit of electronic forms, but they do that anyway for the rest of the world.
Fascinating. Thank you. That was David Campbell-Bannerman, MEP, telling us about Article 24, which is what we could use under a WTO withdrawal, and that would give us a couple of years of zero tariffs to get on and negotiate a new Canada-style agreement or whatever it might be. I think it's a very important and very valuable addition to this debate. I'm not sure how many MPs are listening, but hey. Right, back to the callers. Jonathan is a first-time caller from Trinidad and Tobago. Jonathan, good afternoon there, I guess, is it?
Yes, good afternoon, Nigel. I'm a Trinidadian, so I'm not a British citizen, but as part of the Commonwealth, we're looking at it.
Yes.
We're looking at the Brexit situation, and we're confused. I'm confused. I'm trying to figure out where's the sense from the UK citizens of self-determination and going back to free market competition, where they can determine their own future of the economy and also the posterity of their future generations. It's like the BBC, we look at the BBC and we're like, but we don't think so, because they're carrying water for the EU and it's not constructive.
Do you know, Jonathan, when when all those countries broke away from the British Empire and set up their own independent rule, they didn't argue about whether they might be a bit better off or be a bit worse off. It was about becoming independent. It was about standing on your own 2 feet, as you say, having self-determination and charting your own course in the world. And I'm afraid that what's happened here is so much of our establishment have completely lost the confidence to believe that we're actually good enough as a country to run our own affairs.
Yeah, because I really hope you all go forward, because the Commonwealth is willing to trade with you all.
I know.
And on World Trade Organization rules, but there's a lot of regulations from the EU that prohibit us from exporting some of our produce to you all. And we understand that, there are standards and we could meet those things.
Jonathan, all over the world,
regulations slow us down.
All over the world, I meet people from Commonwealth countries who say it's so blessed difficult to deal with the United Kingdom because of EU rules. And I think, Jonathan, Brexit can bring the Commonwealth and the English-speaking peoples of the world much closer together. I think it'd be a great thing, even if you have just walloped us in the first Test match in Barbados in the most dramatic way. Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that, Jonathan?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah, Geoffrey Boycott wrote, "This is the worst West Indian team I've ever seen," and suddenly we end up getting smashed. Jonathan, great call. Thank you very much indeed. And I love that Commonwealth perspective, and it is important. By the way, there are 2.3 billion people living in the Commonwealth. It includes some of the fastest growing economies in the world, and Brexit is our chance to re-engage with that wider family in the world with whom we have shared history. You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show here on LBC at 6:45, and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
The Prime Minister's told MPs they will be expected to support an amendment to her Brexit deal tomorrow that could deal with the problematic Irish border backstop. Some of the UK's biggest supermarkets and fast food chains have written to the government to warn of potential shortages if there's a no-deal Brexit. 9,000 jobs are at risk at Tesco's head office and stores as part of efforts to simplify the business. LBC weather, a chilly night ahead with scattered wintry showers in Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and North West England, a low of -2.
LBC Travel, I'm Louise Knight, and there's an accident on the clockwise M25. It's blocking one lane between Potters Bar at 24 and 25 for the A10. There are queues through the northbound Blackwall Tunnel where a car's broken down just after the tunnel exit, and a serious accident has closed Kennington Park Road, that's the A3 in both directions near Oval Station. There are solid queues around the Oval and back towards Elephant and Castle. Centre of Town and Tottenham Court Road and Charing Cross Road remain shut for the taxi protest, and on the trains, Southern have 40-minute delays from Victoria to East Croydon. Virgin West Coast and London North Western have delays out of Watford Junction, and South Eastern have delays to and from Charing Cross.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Ian Dale.
So the government is to whip its MPs to vote for an amendment which is against their own policy. But Tory MPs who hate that policy will rebel. Got that?
Ian Dale on LBC.
For hundreds of years, Indian food has been about sharing great food with the people you love. For over 5 years, Manjal Restaurant have brought North and South India together in the heart of London. And due to its success, now we've come to Chigwell Loughton. Experience the essence of India and make memories with Manjal. Book now at manjalrestaurant.com.
You're on a roll, and life keeps rolling with you. You're rushing, you're moving, you're grooving, you're running late, you're gymming, you're swimming, you're meditating. And you're walking, you're talking, you're working, not working, and texting, you're simply unstoppable. And unstoppable shouldn't have to stop to enjoy great food. With Uber Eats, you could order food from your favourite restaurants and have it delivered right to your doorstep. Uber Eats. Get food delivered wherever life takes you. Download the app today. Available at selected times in selected locations.
Block management. 2 very simple words. But what do they actually mean? Well, there's budget approval for starters, then service charge invoices, health and safety paperwork, cleaning, gardening, maintenance, inspections, contracts, insurance, emergency call-outs, and a whole lot more besides.
So for complete block management solutions, just remember 3 simple letters: ABC. ABC Estates will take care of all your day-to-day management, leaving you as happy as Larry. See abcestates.co.uk or call 0800 888 6688.
Ah, the great British roast. When mobiles are set aside, the TV goes off, the family comes together, and everything stops. For the perfect roast, only Bisto Best Gravy will do. Made with real meat juices for that authentic, rich roasted flavour. Ah, Bisto.
How do you make a holiday Travel Republic perfect? With a gentle stroll along a golden sandy beach.
And skies made from fluffy pink candy floss.
However you imagine your perfect holiday, create it with the Travel Republic sale. Choose from your favourite holiday destinations, from Las Vegas to Lanzarote, Portugal to Dubai. Book at travelrepublic.co.uk for surprisingly low prices. Your perfect holiday is yours for the making. Adult protected. Terms apply. See site for details.
ISAs. They're all pretty. But what if there was one that was more...
That's what you get from Vitality. It's an ISA, but with more oomph. Invest in Vitality ISAs or Junior ISAs, and on top of any returns, we give you bigger and bigger boosts every 5 years. Up to 15% over 25 years. Just search Vitality Invest ISA. Vitality. Positively different. Like all investments, they can go down or up and you may get back less than you invest. Conditions apply.
The Nigel Farage Show on LBC.
And just to make it clear, that Article 24 debate that we had, if we leave on WTO terms, the European Union would need to agree to this as well. Both parties would have to give consent to it, and we could carry on for at least 2 years trading tariff-free whilst we sort something out. There'd be no crashing out. And you know something? If it gets to the 11th hour, it is a very, very sensible way of going ahead with this, because I'm certain of one thing. German industry and French industry would scream out for this arrangement to be put in place. So how are you feeling about our political class and where the way they're handling this? And on Twitter, Angela asks me, what would the alternative arrangements be? And this is the weakness of the Graham Brady amendment tomorrow. I agree with you. It's completely non-specific in every way. That's why Jacob and the ERG say they're not going to back it, even though the government is. I'm going to Glasgow to speak to Mark, a first-time caller. Good evening, Mark.
Evening, Nigel. Great to speak to you.
Good to speak to you.
I'm totally frustrated with the whole thing. I mean, 2 years down, two and a bit years down the line, it's not done. The answer always was, as you said before, convince them we're leaving with no deal and they will back down because it's in their interest to do so.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And still do that.
They would come running down the street after us, Mark, saying, please, please do come back. Yeah, I mean, look, she's handled this appallingly. She's given way too much responsibility to civil servants who never believed in Brexit in the first place. I mean, she above all, Mark, she above all, and the team around her, are responsible for the mess that we're in.
Definitely, and a lot of the British, I know but a lot of the media here, it's absolutely shocking. I mean, one thing I was just going to mention was when Labour people mainly and others go on about staying in the customs union, very, very rarely are they challenged by journalists about, well, what about, being able to trade freely throughout the world? There's a problem there. Very often the media they're not all out in the remainers on specific issues, and it's no wonder a lot of the public are confused.
So Mark, would frustrated sum up the way you feel about all this?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Angry?
Yeah. Well, that as well, because democracy has been put in the bucket by many people, including Dominic Greaves tomorrow and others, and Yvette Cooper. It's destroying the democracy in the Senate.
Do you know, Mark, it really worries me, this argument that the vote wasn't really valid because we didn't really understand what we were voting for, and they know better than us. I mean, it's almost as if, Mark, these people are prepared to get rid of democracy. Mandelson once talked about the post-democratic age, and it looks like they want to take us towards it. Mark, we must fight for our democratic rights.
That's exactly what they're doing. Yeah.
Well, tell you what, we ain't giving up, all right? Mark, thank you very much indeed for that. Mark, very, very frustrated. John is a first-time caller from Walton-on-Thames. Good evening, John.
Evening, Nigel. Welcome. Enjoy your show.
Good. Good. So what do you make of the way...
I have to say, sometimes I do think you are a bit of a rascal. You do mislead people with some of the things that you say.
Mislead people? I have a debate
think you do. I think
we have a debate,
you don't
John.
Really, you sail a little bit close to the wind. But let's talk about a couple of things you said this evening. One of them was about VAT. And you didn't quite say it, but the gentleman that you were talking to raised the point about will we be able to control our VAT?
It's a European tax,
John.
John.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
It's a European tax.
Thank you.
But where does the money go, Nigel?
Well, some of it stays here, some of it goes there, but it's
a lot of it stays here.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
go to Europe, does it? It helps to pay for the
It's a
NHS
European
and
tax.
It's a tax.
We only put VAT in place.
Yeah, Nigel, if we wanted to scrap income tax and just charge VAT, we can do that right now.
And if we wanted to scrap VAT, we can't do that because we're in the European Union.
But the implication was that it was an EU tax and you seem to imply it goes to the EU.
No, I
doesn't.
didn't. No,
Most of it stays here.
No, I didn't.
But let's just clarify.
No, I didn't. No, I
didn't. The other thing is that Article 24, the WTO.
Yeah. No, this is interesting.
Absolutely right. We could, if we wanted to, make it a tariff-free zone. But tariffs aren't really the problem here, because tomorrow I don't really think if we had a hard Brexit that the EU are more than likely to say yes, let's have a tariff-free zone. But it's all about the standard of products. We have a set of standards that we've signed up to, which allows free movement of goods across borders. And that is the problem, because if we go out, how can the EU guarantee that we are maintaining those standards?
Okay, John, I get the argument, but on D+1, when we've left on March the 30th, our standards, our regulatory standards, will be exactly the same as the European Union's, yeah?
Absolutely.
So
totally agree with that.
So if any issue or dispute over standards was to emerge, they would emerge over time. But they would not be an immediate problem. And what I'm trying to get over, John, to people is this. The impression is given that if we leave on WTO terms, we'll be crashing out. There'll be disaster. There'll be huge, tailbacks on the M20 for the next 6 months, and nothing will operate, nothing will... And the point I'm making, John, is doesn't this just give us a very soft way to have what some might call a hard Brexit?
But it's not as simple as that, is it? It's not as simple as let's just invoke Article 24. There are so many sets of rules that we've agreed to and signed up to over 40 years that pretty much goes into the bin. Yes, the EU may say let's stick to those rules and you stick to those rules, but the problem is that there's lots of standards that have actually helped us in the UK and improved the quality of things like meat, social care, lots and lots of things that just go unspoken. People just talk about things that don't really...
Well, the point, John, is... I mean, the sovereignty point is not to say that every single piece of EU law is a load of rubbish, because some of it is sensible and some of it is awful. But the point is it's where you make law, and it's how those lawmakers are directly accountable. And that's the sovereignty argument. John, all I'm arguing with you is that I do think... with Article 24 and the fact that our standards are on an equivalence, exact equivalence on D+1, there is a way of doing this without short-term disruption.
I'm not disagreeing that Article 24 would actually help the situation, but I'm saying it's a lot harder and a lot more complicated than that.
All right,
and there are a lot of people that actually keep phoning up, arguing it against business people that are saying that it will be terrible. And it will be terrible. I'm in business and I help a load of businesses, European businesses, that are really interested in investing in the UK. Mm-hmm. And right now, for the last 18 months, they've been holding back plans because they cannot invest in the UK. Because when they invest in the UK, it's not a case of just passing a load of money across. They're sending families across to start businesses and operations in the UK to employ UK people. And they can't do that because they can't talk to a 30-something-year-old with a young family and say, would you like to go to the UK, when they're saying, well, what's it going to be like for my family growing up? Now, a few years ago, the UK was amazing.
Why are they asking that?
So easy to do business in the UK. Right now, all the uncertainty is causing major
Well, I tell you what, John, I agree with that. Let's end the uncertainty. Let's leave. Let's leave on March the 29th at 11 p.m. John, I'm going to let you go. Very quickly got time for Steve from Maidstone, another first-time caller. Welcome, Steve.
Hello, Nigel. Nice to speak to you.
So, what do you make of our political class? I mean, do you think Parliament's doing a great job, Steve? Come on, stand up for Parliament. Tell me, Dominic Grieve's a hero.
Nigel, I don't think I've got the words to describe that. I'm totally disgusted and exasperated. I listened to your conversation about Article 24.
Yes.
Why had it taken over 2.5 years for us to sort of be told about this, because, you know, I've got the idea that the proponents of the second referendum are telling us how we should be, you know, better informed now. Well, we've had 2.5 years of more propaganda, of fear-mongering, it seems to me.
What did you make, Steve, of what you heard from David Campbell-Bannerman about Article 24? Did it make some sense?
It just sounded like a perfectly reasonable proposal to me, you know, that this whole idea, you know, that we can carry on trading under existing terms until, you know, it just seems so logical to me.
Yeah.
I just can't believe, you know...
Well, has it cheered you up a bit, Steve?
It has. It's given me a little bit of hope.
Good, because I get this from Chris in Whitstable. He says, wow, Nigel, that talk on Article 24 has given me new hope and cheered me right up. Cheers, mate. Steve, thank you. Chris, thank you very much indeed for your text. And thanks all of you, every single one of first-time callers tonight, and you're very, very welcome. Tomorrow, I'll be back. We will no doubt be taking in the last half of this hour much of Theresa May's speech, and then it'll be over to Ian Dale, not just tonight, but for the votes tomorrow. I'm getting the feeling, Ian, that maybe nothing's going to change tomorrow.
Well, that would be, yeah, should be kicking the can